This is a highway Chinese engineers built to accept shallow flooding. Not a mistake, not a disaster. That's the design. This is the Yongwu Highway in Jiangxi province, in eastern China. For most of the year it looks normal. A thin strip of asphalt cutting across the Dahuchi section, a wetland area of Poyang Lake, guardrails, painted lines, cars and trucks doing their everyday business. And then, when the water rises, it turns into this. Cars driving through a sheet of water, waves splashing over the surface, reflections of the mountains dancing on the hood. People online call it the Water Highway. Locals just call it that road that disappears every year. From far away, you might think this is a failure. Why would anyone build a road where it gets flooded so often? To understand it, think of low-lying highways near the Mississippi or Louisiana bayous. Dahuchi is part of the Poyang Lake wetland system, where water levels are meant to move. This isn't a fixed shoreline. The water expands in the rainy season, retreats later, and the road lives inside that cycle. When engineers planned this road to connect two counties, they had a choice. Either build a long, expensive bridge that stays above the highest water level, or build a low causeway that hugs the normal water line, with parts dipping into the sometimes underwater zone. They chose the second option. That's why the road seems to sit right on the lake, because it kind of does. For most drivers, most of the time, it's just a very scenic commute. Mountains on both sides, water glittering a few meters away, maybe some fishermen off to the side. But the numbers tell a different story. Below about 18.6 meters, the highway is dry and open. Near 19 meters, certain sections start to go under. At that point, authorities are supposed to close the road. You can think of it like parts of Highway 1 in the Florida Keys in the US, where people know that during king tides and storms, some stretches will flood. Locals watch tide charts and weather apps. Here, people watch the reservoir level. There's a narrow band where it works, and then a hard cutoff where it becomes too risky. And yet, those are exactly the days it goes viral. When the water creeps over the edges, people come here on purpose, to film their cars pushing wakes, to shoot drone footage of this gray line dissolving into blue-green water, to post, "Look, China built a road inside a lake." Chinese comment sections are fast and brutal, but also very funny. Local comments: "If you live here, it's that time of year again." The driving test should include reading the water chart. This is how a lot of people in China deal with infrastructure weirdness. Turn it into memes first, complaints second. But here's the part you never see in those viral drone videos. Behind the pretty clips, there's a whole choreography to keep this weird idea from becoming a disaster. If they get this right, you get lightly splashing tires, tourists posting, "This is magical." If they get it wrong, you get stalled cars, engines flooded, people stuck in water just a bit deeper than they expected, calling for help from the middle of a lake. Building higher would have been safer, but much more expensive. Longer spans, more piers, more concrete in the water. Building lower made it cheaper and more direct, but meant accepting that some days every year this thing will simply vanish. Engineers tried to protect what they could control. Stronger guardrails, drainage paths, slightly elevated shoulders, asphalt that can handle being soaked and dried over and over. The one thing they can't control is the lake itself. And that's where the story stops being about a single road and starts being about systems. Reservoirs like this are part of a whole network: hydropower, flood control, irrigation downstream. When it rains heavily upstream, water managers decide, how much do we store here? How much do we release? Which city gets protected? Which low-lying road gets sacrificed? Online, people joke, but you can feel the edge beneath it. If it's this pretty, it means somewhere else is getting too much rain. We design the road. The lake decides if it works. Local businesses benefit: homestays, restaurants, boat tours, and the comment sections get their own tone. Came for the scenery, stayed because my engine died. Only in China do we invent new ways to almost drive into a lake. For anyone watching from the US or Europe, this is a tiny example of something bigger. China is still in the phase where infrastructure is built fast, budgets are tight, and ordinary people are expected to adapt around it. The Yongwu Highway looks like a magic trick where cars drive on water. In reality, it's an ongoing negotiation between engineers, weather, water managers, and people who just want to get to work on time. You can see it as a symbol of a country improvising around geography and climate, trying to squeeze beauty out of necessity. Or you can just see it as this: a very strange road that works perfectly, right up until the moment the lake decides it doesn't. But what do I know? I'm just a panda. Make sure you're subscribed, then click here for the next one.